Anything, Julie?
We should be getting audio now. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a delay, I think.
Yeah, it takes a little bit. Working on.
Yeah, but your anything, Julie, just came through.
Big delay. Okay, so we're going to have to live with it. That's the best I can. All right.
You gotta shut it off now,
Oh, I
guys.
will. I just wanted to make sure it was working.
I'm not sure Kathy, if she can hear us, she should be able to know that she's got you. We won't be able to see her. She won't be able to see us. We should be able to see her, but that's, again, as long as she's on with us. We'll start the meeting tonight with a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll give that to you. You can give that to him when you see him. I got where he's got his now.
All right. Workshop tonight is primarily to go over the wind overlay local law that we began last year. The last stab at this was July of 2025. The planning board at that point had made some recommendations and some changes. There was a public meeting. I think there was some discussion. And at that point, because of what happened with the board and the resignations, it has stagnated since then. We decided to bring it back up, so you've all got copies of the modified local law. There's crossouts in those on the top pages are the recommendations made by the planning board are designated by numbers, and there's cross-outs and new verbiage has been added to the thing. So at this point, what we need to do is go through this. Any questions, any changes? Kirk is here tonight to answer any questions. And then, of course, we'll have to, what's the next steps on this thing, Kirk? I think that once, if we go through tonight, gets a rewrite, comes back before the board.
Yeah, and then you would probably review it again, and if you're happy with those results, then it would have to go off to the county for their recommendation. Then you'll have to set a public hearing. And then it becomes a law if you approve it. So,
Okay.
if you want me to give you a breakdown of what
I think if the
everything was
board
like?
would like you to go through that, that would be good.
We learned a lot, the planning board did, when they proposed the two windmills on Smith's Farm. One of the biggest things is that in our regulations, it states that a large windmill can be 460 feet. And they proposed 650, which you'll see the first thing on here, that's section 660, alternate energy systems. If you went through and read that, the old regulations, which is still in place. I don't even know if I still have it here. I don't have it here.
Somehow I have all the work.
What they did is they fell upon in 660 alternative energy systems, 660D. It says height exemptions. The height limitation of this local law shall not apply to wind energy towers or solar structures, provided that such structures are erected only to such height as is necessary to accomplish the purpose for which they're used for. That's how they got around that 460 feet.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. The other thing that we noticed during this whole process is that there was no fall zone. A fall zone, we instituted in everything in there that required a fall zone of 1.5 times the tower. That was one of the other big things that we had. I know there were some people that really didn't want windmills in the area. So we thought about it, and we kind of followed along with Yates, where they say that no other windmill can be within 1.5 miles from the other one. There had to be 1.5 mile radius. There's another one out here, which will make it kind of tougher around here, you think? And the other big thing that I didn't like from day one was that they had one of the towers that was going to be to the south. And I think probably the other one. They both, if they fell into neighboring property. I didn't like that, okay? So basically what I stated and had added was that the fall zone would have to be in the wind overlay. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much it that we came up with. I don't know if anybody else has got any questions or.
I'm sorry, and you may have already said this and I just missed it. What currently is the height that they can go?
460.
And what is so you see the windmills out in the farms, that the farmers have?
Coming to Barry.
No, the farmers' windmills.
No.
They
Oh,
should-
the farmers would.
Yeah,
Not the big
how
ones.
tall
Oh, they're
is that?
120.
So can't we make it 120? I mean,
What?
we have the height, the maximum height, so the farmers can still do their,
Oh, they still can.
I know that, but that's the max. That way we don't have these
Variance.
monster ones.
They can apply for a variance if they want to.
I'm sorry, I'm not asking this correctly. I'm not trying to, the farmers I want protected, which they will.
Right.
But I'm saying so that we don't get these big monster ones at all, can't we decrease that 460 to like 120? Then the farmers are happy and we don't have to worry about the big,
We left it at 460 because they will not.
They're not gonna build any 460s.
They're not gonna build
That's an
460. The
obsolete.
standard now,
I mean, you can
Well,
change
now,
it.
but, okay,
Well, I mean, the whole idea is bigger is better. I mean, those originally started in out there, I think, 400. I mean, the original proposal,
yeah,
discussion, I should say,
Right.
although there wasn't a proposal at
yes,
that point.
yes.
It was somewhere around the 400 mark. And the only thing they're building now are these 600 and even higher.
Yes,
It's just because the idea is that if you're going to go through that process to build, when you get more output, the bigger they are.
okay.
So there's more return on it. I don't
Mhm.
know whether we'd run into any kind of, do you know what Yates put in theirs? Theirs was pretty restricted. Did they put a height on theirs?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Might be good to see if they
It's
said
been
something.
so long since I
Yeah,
looked at theirs. I mean, I think even Ridgeway's might be built the same as ours.
Mhm.
Because we had, and I asked Lori, and she can't remember either, we had an attorney do these back then.
Mhm.
I forget who he was. He was out of Buffalo, well-known. He did that. And I believe our solar.
okay.
And we also, I'm trying to remember. I'm getting old.
Yeah, well, it's been quite a while. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
water to dam since then was through this.
Yes, yes.
It might be good to just go and to answer Linda's questions, let's find out what, because I know Yates went through this and spent a lot of time on it. Just like the mile apart thing that you borrowed from them. Might be good to find out what they've put in terms of maximum
Me
height.
personally, right now, I don't think you'll see another company come in.
I don't think so either.
No,
I think,
only because of that substation being
yeah,
filled up.
yeah.
If that solar project goes through.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why they only put up the 5 megawatts out there.
Yeah.
Because that's all that would take over there on Bates Road.
Yeah, the substation, we've heard from several sources, is maxed out just about, if they build the solar panels here on South Gravel, which we'll be faced with talking about coming up, and which we've kind of laid our shop on top of their meeting tonight. But that means that National Grid would have to provide a pretty big upgrade to that substation in order to take any more.
Then they're not gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
They'll make if you've seen the solar project over
Very.
on Lockport Road.
Yeah.
They are building a substation out there, the company that's putting that in.
Yeah.
I also saw one up in, our way up to the Thousand Islands, Clayton area. They're putting another big solar farm up there, and they're putting in their own substation too.
Well, I think what I'd like to do, I think that in order to answer her thing is let's see what Barry did, because they did, I think, a lot of research and I think they, we'll just find out what the max is on.
Well, when this originally came through, I had concerns about the listing of maximum height under 597.10 standards for wind energy conversion systems. Number 13, it says the maximum total height of any WECS shall be 420 feet. And my concern being that hinges on commercial versus, a farmer putting one at 120 feet on his farm. Is there any issue with just, as Linda said, just plain limiting that? So that beyond that, somewhere back in here, it states that farms have to apply for a variance and what have you, yeah, agriculture and farm operations and so forth. I would like this to be as non-attractive as possible. I mean, who's to say?
You're the board.
For the board,
You guys, these are just our recommendations to you. If you want to change those, go right ahead, change them. Let Kathy know.
I think we want to make sure that we don't, and I just want to be sure, and I agree with you, and I agree with you, I'd like to find out if there's some way we could make it more restrictive. I don't want to make it so much that we get a pushback from somebody that I know there's been issues with that sometime if they get too restrictive, they could facing a legal issue. I think it's something we can check with Kathy, but I'd like to see what Yates is doing. Theirs was pretty restrictive, I think. because they've been fighting those windmills all along the lake shore down,
Mhm.
and I think they've been fairly successful with that. We can take a second look at theirs and ask Kathy whether
She can hear us. Can
she can hear us.
speak?
She was supposed to be able to, but I don't know whether she has her mic on, and I'm not sure I got this set up right. This is my first team.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
There we are.
There we go.
That's just what we were looking for. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. So yeah, I was just muted because I'm not in the quietest place at the moment. But yeah, you guys can do whatever you want to do in terms of restrictions. I mean, I agree with the substation is sort of maxed out once the solar goes in. And so I don't think you're going to see anybody else come in. I also know that in terms of the renewable industry at this particular time, wind is not profitable. So you just don't see a ton of wind being developed in general. But I think you're free to make it as restrictive as you want at this point.
I'm only thinking, what if the solar doesn't happen? You know, I'd hate to find out that we,
Left the door open.
yeah.
Okay. Let's make it, I don't know, make it 120 feet if you want, then, you know, or
We're-
200 or whatever.
Yeah.
We're quite close to the high lines. It's what, it isn't, what is it, Ed? Not even 2 miles.
With the,
The high lines that go east and west
Oh.
by the swamp.
Power
oh, the
lines.
power lines, yeah.
Now, it wouldn't take much to, I have no idea. Would
Yeah,
it
I'm
take
not-
much to get right in and tie into
I don't know
that and
where they-
send it
I
that?
don't think they can tie into that.
They can't
no.
tie in
I
directly.
don't think so.
No, you'd have to build a substantial substation. I think,
Yes.
and I only think, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you can't just go tap into.
No, you just can't. They have to get what they call a Caesar, which is a written agreement from, that would be your New York Power Authority there,
Mhm.
which I don't think they're gonna allow you
I
to
think there are
tap into that.
technical issues with that also. That's why a substation rather than just tie into the high line.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah,
We
those
can-
high lines are 115,000 volts.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting a substation.
Yeah,
over
they would
in Barry.
Yeah.
they would have to tie into a substation. Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you want to make it 120 or 150 or whatever you guys want, we can do it.
I'd feel better dropping it some, but
Another,
I don't know that much about it, but
Well, it's up to
another,
us.
another question on there. We're all talking, wind turbines with props on them. Now there's outfits, I believe there's one in Tonawanda, North Tonawanda. They've got a wind generator that's built close to the ground. And what it looks like is, anybody's familiar with their heater motor in their vehicle, the driven part is that. And they aren't very far off the ground.
No.
I mean, our problem, and
We got restrictions on how far that blade,
well, I'm not talking even blades. We're
No,
talking
there's no
like
blades.
a heater motor.
Squirrel cage.
oh, this,
Yeah, it's like a,
Yeah.
it's a newer style.
Yes, yes.
Like my air
Okay,
conditioner?
yes.
like a funnel kind of thing.
Yeah,
a funnel.
Something, yeah. It's kind of a unique thing. Whether it would ever take off, who knows? But if we're covering bases, we should.
Well, the thing you can always do, I mean, is you can get this through as it is and do some research. You know, a problem with any of these local laws that we make, like with this new technology, would always have to be addressed. You
Right.
never know what it might come up next. And those things are just experimental at this point.
Right.
I don't know how we can make sure we cover everything new that comes along without.
Exactly, yeah.
I think the idea is the board always has to be aware that these things have to remain a living document to address any future developments. So which is the reason too, at some point, not to travel too far astray from our conversation tonight, but I'd like to revisit the solar.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look up Yates for you.
Okay.
I've got it, I'm just,
Yeah.
every time I try to do this, it,
Because I'd like to revisit the solar.
Yes.
Our overlay too. That's, I think that goes back to 2016, if I remember right.
I did talk to our members at our last meeting of them going through and reviewing it.
Okay,
And maybe we'll bring it up, depends on what comes up at our next meeting.
perfect, because we're facing that now, of course, with the South Grant. It'd be nice to know where that stands as we get into that process.
See, the biggest problem with the solar project, everybody's going down Lockport Road. And they're thinking that their town's gonna be, it very well could be. But
It's really out of your hands though. It's over 25 megawatts.
yep,
Once that happens,
yep,
So nothing they can do about it.
you can put any kind of regulations in there that you want.
Yeah.
Same with windmills, if they wanna come in and put in anything over 25 meg,
you're in trouble.
it's done. That's supposedly what they're gonna be doing over in Barry,
It is,
27 of them.
Yeah.
and that's just the windmills. The solar hasn't even started yet.
Yeah. Well, you said they already started on Burns.
Right at this point, though, it's just the windmills. I'm in touch with them every day. They haven't started on the solar yet. This is with, where?
And, Town Line Road, Crane Road.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is for, my understanding is for the windmills.
No, they're not putting no windmills. Windmills are all on the east side of 98.
Have they started cutting trees there?
They have been starting to do the test holes to see if the ground is stable enough for the post and all that.
Yeah, okay, because they're supposed to notify us before they cut any trees for the solar if it's on Shelby property.
Yeah.
They aren't.
That Burns Road, that's in Barry.
Yeah, see, they're not always gonna notify us of stuff that we didn't carry, but anything that's in the Shelby portion, they're supposed to notify us before they do anything. So, and I haven't received a notification. I just talked to them the other day.
But there's not much trees there to cut, it's all good tillable ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all open.
I know.
ground.
just cutting trees, just any kind of work
Right.
before they begin the process, they're supposed to, because that sets up a lot of triggers for us in terms of what we have to do to monitor it, and what they have to do to communicate with us. And that also triggers escrow money. So when that happens, we should know, not something that we shouldn't keep an eye on, but, So anyways, let's get back to this thing. Did you see anything in there?
No, because it says page 61, I go to page 61, I'm still back in the others, and I gotta go deeper into it.
All right, I think we should look at that and see if we can make a change. I mean, that's what the workshop is for us to start asking some questions again, get this moving. We've got some time before the next board meeting. Maybe we can make any other changes we wish, get it incorporated, get back.
If you wrote in there windmills to service farms or service individuals, maybe?
I think there's verbiage in there that
Yeah,
states
break it
what
up,
it
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
related to the 120, and they can get a variance.
Right.
It's related to what it can be used for. It's very specific. It differentiates between an industrial setting and those serving a house or a farm. I think, Kirk, you could probably,
Yeah.
Where that
it's,
is.
597, 5E exemptions where they talk about ag districts where, farms can be allowed it. But they're just strictly ag. We've never had anybody come to us interested. We've only got 2 right now. We did have a third one, but that third one never went through to this day. I don't think it's feasible I think people
not- probably
probably
not.
have to put solar on their house than they are to put a
I
windmill
think
out.
the cost of putting them up and what you get in return is.
Oh, yeah, yes, yes. There were some other additions that we added in there. One of the things was sending off the plans to the fire department to look at. They left out the EMO, the Emergency Management Office. We added that in there.
In terms of any new technology, I wonder if it's reasonable to put any verbiage in here to state that this is specifically for a certain a bladed, and any other would have, would have to go through a review or for a different process or something. I'm not sure how you could state it.
Are you windmill related,
Yeah,
like if they came up with something different? I mean, it would still be considered a windmill,
right.
you
But
know, so you would still
let's-
follow these regulations.
Yeah, it would be
I mean, if it's
Yes.
something new coming on out down the road, okay, you put a moratorium on it. You know, if somebody's interested, or, you know, you hear talk, or,
Okay.
you know, you put a moratorium on, gives us time to look at it.
Okay,
You know, it usually starts 6 months, and
okay,
then it goes on for another 6 months, and
all right,
that's how that would really be addressed.
all right.
Because like you said, I think they're getting away from windmills.
Yeah.
It's-
You don't see the big push that there
No.
was at one time.
You mentioned the fire departments. Is that also listed in our solar? Because I don't remember
Yes,
that, so they
yes.
would have to check
Yes,
and, okay.
and they've already looked at the plans.
The fire departments?
Yes.
Okay.
So this part here on noise and setback easements, it's sort of a circular statement. In the event a noise levels resulting from WCS exceed the criteria established in this section, or a setback requirement is not met, a waiver is hereby granted from such requirement where the adjoining owner's property is considered part of the site. Goes on to say written consent from the affected property owner shall be obtained stating that they are aware and the noise and or setback limitations imposed by this section and they wish to be part of it. Find that consent is granted, one, to allow the noise levels to exceed the maximum limits otherwise allowed, or allow setbacks less than required. And then number two, in order to advise all subsequent owners of the burdened property, the consent in the form required for an easement shall be recorded in the county clerk's office. So in the form required for an easement, are they actually saying you're creating an easement on the property? Or they're
I
just
would assume
considered
so.
part of
I'm
the
not-
site?
I'm not a lawyer. I can't decipher something. I mean, they put this in there, and, you know, noise is, you know, there's levels to them, yeah.
Kathy has a copy of that. You could ask her specifically about that section, Larry, and maybe she can comment on that, because I did make sure she got copies of this as well. as you
It
guys.
seems like that was,
Yeah. Larry, what section were you talking about again?
597.14, toward the back, about 5 pages in.
that particular section, where adjacent property, that sounds like something to do with, was that added there because both of them were so close together and one property, one would fall on, like, one was owned by the sister and the brother owned the other one.
Well, they both signed agreements with that application.
For the fall zones.
Yes.
Right, so.
Right, and yes,
If it fell into one or
they
the
would
other,
have-
okay.
and they would have to, it would have to be an easement because otherwise it wouldn't run with the property. So they would have to enter into an easement agreement that would allow this to happen.
So by saying written consent from the affected property owners, when you're talking about noise, that could be anybody. It doesn't have to be any property that necessarily abutting that. Is that correct, Kathy?
I mean, that's an interesting
section's
phrasing
little-
of that,
It's a little muddy.
right? It is muddy, and I don't know that it would be interpreted necessarily to apply to everybody that could hear it. I think a court would find that to be overbroad. but if you just read it, that's certainly what it implies. So I do think that section is a little muddy. And if you're going to clean things up, I think you should probably think about ways to clean that up.
Well, certainly look forward to a recommendation from you, or we'll leave it in there and let them sue us, I guess. It's one of the two.
How about not
Well,
really- what?
Go ahead, Kathy.
so I guess, the issue is depending on the size of these things, how far away are they typically heard? And can you impose some kind of, requirement in terms of, those noise impacts? And I think if you literally want written consent from every property owner that could hear it, then I think
You're not gonna get it.
we have to write it that way, right? Written consent from any property owner who would be, within the distance from which these could be heard.
It does reference decibel levels
Yeah.
of that.
Right.
So do you put something there that said if exceeds these decibel levels at those properties, they have the right to,
Yes.
okay? So some wording could be put in there that if any property, anybody could hear it and it exceeded those decibel levels that are listed above, therefore they would have to get some kind of, they'd have to get a sign off from those property owners.
But you're opening up
Yes.
worms,
That makes the most sense to me.
because anybody,
Well, that's what,
I don't care if they're a mile, 2 miles,
but it would
3
have to,
miles.
but it would have to exceed, what we're saying is that at that property, at that location, it would have to exceed the decibel levels that are already stated in there as being, acceptable. So,
Yeah, boy,
It
this,
depends where
this
the wind's
section
blowing,
on-
which way the wind's blowing.
True, yeah.
deviate on
Yeah.
decibels.
So,
This
I mean-
formula they come up with is just
I mean,
ridiculous.
if you pull out, probably should have done that, pulled out the old application. All these were addressed,
mhm,
along with noise, flicker, so forth and so on.
right, I remember all of that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the levels and the data that was associated with it.
Yeah. I mean, I could see if you're living next door to this, maybe some noise. I don't know if any of you've been to Oak
I've been-
Farm.
We've gone and walked around some of them.
Yeah. And so,
Depending on how the wind is going, you can hear them,
yes,
but you have to get pretty close to them
yes, you have to be almost on top of
you
it.
have to be almost on top of them to have it exceed these decibel levels.
Yeah.
Flicker's another matter,
Right, yes.
but the noise levels, I doubt that you're going to exceed those any very far away from them.
No. I mean, like you said, if Kathy wants to rewrite that would be fine with us.
Kathy.
Oh, by the way, this is Jim recommending this.
I guess to the board, do you want to have Kathy take a stab at rewriting that section?
If it's muddy, I don't know why we wouldn't clean it up a little bit.
Or
That's
just,
my opinion.
just so we know that that's,
Yeah, it's overly worded. That point can be made in much less words.
You gotta think that the attorney wrote these out too.
I mean, if you look at this, the setbacks and the formula coming up for decibel levels and how it's measured, it is just ridiculous. I mean,
but do you know how to measure those better than that?
absolutely not. And apparently, they're trying to write it so incessantly ridiculous that you can't even finish reading it. It's just arithmetic average of the sound pressure levels of 2 contiguous 1/3 octave bands by 5 dBA for center frequencies of 500 hertz or above by 8 dBA for center. You're just you're not going out there with your phone and getting any kind of
Well, I don't think that
data you
they
can work
don't
with.
expect that that's probably going to happen. technical details, you'd have to challenge any of it by following certain parameters.
Well, what I'm saying is they're not giving clear guidelines as to whether or not you would even proceed to address the issue because you're not aware,
I think that legally, if you're going to
does
try to
this
address the issue,
exceed or not?
that probably describes a formula for measurement that you would hold up in any kind of court or any kind of saying you want to go out there and measure dB with your phone isn't going to go anywhere. You're going to have to challenge a standard of measurement, and it may be that complicated. I know I'm assuming that the attorneys who wrote this probably took that out of somebody that didn't.
Well, my concern with the whole thing overall is this is all after the fact. So there's no way of knowing whether or not it'll be affected until it's erected and it's running.
That's correct.
And at that point, do you even know there's a provision in here that will allow you to address that?
I think then
you're compensated in some way.
I think then you're relying on, first of all, the height. You're restricting them to a certain size. You're restricting them to a certain dB level at certain locations. I mean, even right, close to them. I mean, they can't exceed a certain amount. I think that the focus of this is to make it restrictive so they're not even going to put it up. I think that anything in there, if it exceeds those levels, if by chance they get something exceeds those levels, any kind of lawsuit, I would think maybe they have to redesign or take it down, I mean, to mitigate it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you couldn't meet those standards, what are you going to do? And if people don't sign off on it, they're going to be stuck. But I think first and foremost, I think the height thing is going to be the fact that it's, and then just as Kirk brought up, any kind of new technology, we can set a moratorium once we're aware of it until we examine it. So I don't know. I mean, we can have Kathy rewrite these sections that would require getting some involvement probably from engineering, somebody who knows this stuff. Kathy's a lawyer, but she's not an engineer, I'm sure, and I don't know that she wants to speak to measurement of sound. I certainly can't.
Well, all things considered, again, looking out for the public that I'm here to serve, these are all after the facts, and there is sufficient verbiage in here that if somebody were to educate themselves on, potential issues and what remedy may be, available to them, they could do so by reading this local law. So I don't want to spend a bunch of money in rewriting a section just so it sounds better, just to remove, a couple of words, but I do believe we definitely need to address this 420 feet.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
That's
what
why
we're here for.
you guys are going to make the final decision, and if that's what you choose to change that to 120,
let's see it. Well, I think we can.
I mean, I don't want to have every farmer, if they want to add, another foot, so maybe we give a little leeway about 120.
Well, the point is that actually is covered in theirs. They just asked for a variance.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a restriction on how the differentiation between a commercial windmill and one that's used for, that's spelled out, I think, fairly clearly.
All right.
So it says up to 120 for those that are supplying for a barn or for a farm. You can only have so many on that.
I think that was the other section. It didn't actually state at what point they had to apply for a variance. I think it referenced if they are beyond.
Well, I think it's 120 feet. I thought it was clear.
I
thought,
it.
but
Does not exceed 120 feet.
Where are you, Kurt?
Okay. Towers over 120 feet in total height, utilized solely for agriculture operation in the state or county ag district, shall apply for a special use permit in accordance with section,
I see it now.
with this section, and shall require a height variance.
I see that. You changed there. Okay. All right, I'm good with that.
So let's change the other one.
See, what I'm kind of concerned about, what if the solar farm comes in, I don't want to pick on Ed here, and say, we're gonna, or not a solar farm, a wind energy farm. I wanna go in and I wanna put up 10, 120-foot towers,
Mhm.
but it's gonna be feeding back to the grid. But I wanna go higher than 120 feet because I'm in an ag district.
But I thought that it said
For their personal use.
for person, read that again.
Yeah, you're right, it does say personal use, but I'm just thinking of somebody else coming up with the idea of saying, well, I'm gonna use it for personal use, anything else I'm gonna be selling.
Well, I think your addition of the must be 1 mile apart
True.
would address that.
Well, just that, some places.
How many acres you got over there, Ed?
Too many.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, here, gas company thought of that section 660,
Mhm.
where it says, as long as we approve it, we gotta go 650 for the best results.
Mhm.
I'm sure somebody will look at that 120. That's why I say that I would leave it down. I wouldn't bring it down to 120 like the ag is,
Mhm.
because somebody, Joe Schmo, is gonna come around and say, well, you say 120, that they can get a variance for that. I'm gonna come after you with a lawsuit because you're not treating me fairly enough.
No, make it 250.
You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
you can always, so you can zone out industrial wind turbines and just say you're only going to allow them for agricultural and farm uses.
There you go.
Am I just looking into this too far?
No, you're doing your job.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, and I guess that's why I'm suggesting, an alternative here is to simply say you're not going to allow anything industrial, and you consider anything industrial if it connects to the grid, right? As opposed to being used to supply power on that property.
That works for me.
The other way around, you can get with it, say you're not gonna give them an overlay district, wind overlay district. Because they have to get that approved first for these regulations
Mhm.
before they submit
I
their,
heard what you said, but I didn't catch it.
okay,
Can you say that one more time, please?
okay. Per regulations, the company has to apply for a wind overlay district
Okay.
where they wanna place these, okay? Now it's up to the town to decide whether they want to allow it or not. They can turn that down.
Mm-hmm.
Without going too far on this, I really do think that the 120 is and there's always some caveat that they probably can get into it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the way it's personal, the board is certainly, I'm just one voice.
Yeah,
I think change it to the 120, leave it at that. I think the sound implications are in there. We've already pretty much restricted it by the 20 height.
Mile and a half.
The distance between them, any change in that, if they wanted to do 125 or 150, they'd have to come for a variance, which that's up to us again. It's in there, they'd have to apply for it. So I think just changing the one from 400 some to 120 and unless somebody's got a real
Okay.
objection to moving it forward.
Are you still gonna look at Yates
It wouldn't hurt. Do that.
just to see what
I
clause?
still
they
got
have
it
in
up
there?
here, so.
We can do that. We don't have to do that right now. You don't have to sit there on your phone. I think we can take a quick look and regroup just quickly before the next meeting and just make a decision on making that change.
Go ahead, you can, I'm listening.
Well, I think the next steps at this point is we'll check into the Gates thing, make any other changes, and then if we decide to make a change, I guess what do we have to do in terms of getting it together to go, again, repeat the next step on that? Sure.
Next step would have to go to, as soon as you agree with the changes and so forth, it'll have to go to the county
Okay,
for a recommendation.
so we can look into that in the meantime, bring that change to the board on February 10th, our next board meeting.
Right.
We could then examine that change, decide then if we're good with it,
Right,
and then forward it, do a resolution to forward it to the county at that point,
right,
okay?
right.
And let them come back to us. So I think we can look at the Yates, and I don't think it would hurt to look at the sound thing, whatever Yates has got in there too. I know they spent a lot of money and a lot of time on it. Just take a peek in what they put in there.
Didn't we at some point, what was it last year? Kind of moratorium on wind energy? What was that the board voted on?
It
Did,
did.
It's for this.
It was for
It
this,
was for
while we
this,
worked on
yes.
this. You can do it 6 months at a time, and then they re-upped it for another 6 months. It's just that we have to address it here at the end. We could do another moratorium, but I'd like to
just
get it
take 'em.
done. We've got so many issues before us. Let's move it along. We'll change it to the 120. Bring it before the board, get it off to the county. It can all be altered again after that if we decide we want to redo it, resubmit it. But, you know,
Could we simply just zone it out? That
Well,
was
that's
not
what-
even for
that's what-
consideration?
that's what Kirk is
I mean, it'd
suggesting.
be a lot less papers and it's just plain and simple, keep driving, you know, we're not interested.
I think that's what Kathy's trying to say by just saying we're not going to allow commercial windmills, period.
Mhm.
You very well can do that.
Right. Right. You would allow it for agricultural, but not for commercial.
And would that require, and all that would require is a zoning change? So we drop the whole.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, you would probably drop the whole overlay district and then figure out what regulations you wanted to put on turbines used for agricultural properties.
And we could always come back and do that after, if we were to complete this document, because if we've got to do that, it's go back to the drawing board in some ways for us.
You'd probably still want to leave the small agriculture, you know, the
Right.
120
Yes,
feet.
I think
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
she's suggesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are not a problem.
But I think what she said too was, nothing, agriculture or not, you can't connect to the grid.
right,
That way it keeps
Yeah.
it just for the farmer
right,
themselves
right.
or
But there
personal
are-
use.
I gotta believe, well, I can't say, I'm just thinking. I think some of them do sell, I'm not saying windmills. Seemed like I've seen it someplace where the smaller ones
Oh.
can sell back.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of output
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
requires you to sell back if you're above.
But
Yeah.
isn't sell
what's
back
coming
different
in.
than, I don't know, because I'm not a,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
it
way
is.
over my head.
Yeah,
Is
we're
it
not
different or the
talking,
same as
you know,
going on the grid?
Kilovolts of energy. here.
Yeah.
We're just talking.
So I guess it comes down to, do we want to move this forward tonight, or do you want to start over and look at zoning change? Or do we-
Move forward.
Hmm?
I think we move forward. I mean,
Yeah, we probably
We're-
got some more important
we're,
issues.
yeah, we're,
Well, right now we have nothing, right? We have no moratorium and we have no
No.
law.
I'd say put it
I
through.
mean, if
in my own
we
opinion.
make the changes like we agreed to here,
The 120 and,
I mean,
And then we can, if we want to put on the plate, I would agree with you.
because, this only covers up to 25 megawatts. I mean,
true.
if they're gonna come in with more than that, you're not gonna do, it's a waste of time going through all this. So,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We got a lot of things on our plate. I'd like to move it forward personally.
That's
I think
fine.
let's do it.
Okay, sounds good.
So let's make a change. We'll bring it up at the next meeting, the changes, at least in height. Do a little research on it. Certainly anybody is welcome to do that and offer opinions in the meantime.
I tell you, if you just pull up Yates's, theirs is, that make ours look like peanuts.
Oh, I know. They spent a lot of money and a
Yes.
lot of time. They involved some, yeah. Of course, they were also fighting 25 megawatt and above.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what they were faced with. So, all right, I guess, if we're in agreement,
Yeah.
have a motion to essentially, make the changes and bring this up to the next meeting.
We're going to leave everything else that Kurt suggested, just the one, just drop the height.
This changes, yes.
I'll make that motion, so moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
I might have missed it, but I haven't even seen anything.
okay. We got some time now.
It's-
Got a couple days to take a look at this.
I started out at page 67, I'm up to 86, and I'm still in it.
In the legalese, huh?
Hmm?
You're in the legalese.
He's off in the weeds.
Yeah.
All right, that was the focus of tonight's workshop. Are there any other elements that anyone would like to bring up tonight while we're here?
There's plenty.
I'd like to, the list that you sent out of things that that we've found issues with,
Sure.
I-
Which one would you like to talk about?
Well, I guess I would like to say that, Ed and I had like a 30-second conversation. Everything that falls under highway, we will take care of with the highway department.
That's fine. Perfect. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You done with me?
Yes, you can go
Yeah.
home.
I'd like to go to the solar, see if they're still
Oh, all
in
right.
the process. I don't know how they advertise that. I don't.
I looked all over. I couldn't find any mention of it anywhere.
That's what I was kind of wondering if anybody else had.
I mean, they made the announcement at the last meeting, and then we set our meeting on top of it afterwards, you know.
But
But we had to get this done, so
there were some people there when I came through.
we're there. Yeah.
Of course, that's what my boss told me, I can check, so.
Well, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank the
Charlene's still there.
Huh?
Charlene's still there, so I think it's still going on.
Oh, is it?
And if you would, thank the rest of the planning board for their work on this. Appreciate it.
Okay. I'd like to see another thing off your plate.
Thank
That will be
you.
the solar farm,
Well,
so.
we've also got, of course, the other stuff that you brought before us on this.
Oh, yeah,
change. That
yes.
got to be addressed too. We'll bring that up.
And my license?
That's out of my hands at this point.
What's
All right.
that?
So I was gonna, I'll send an email to Ed and Dale
Yep.
tomorrow or tonight, and we're gonna try to meet with him next week, maybe on Monday if we
Monday.
can, because Ed's been out of town for a couple weeks, and that'll give Dale, we can get some information, we can give him some information, and maybe he can start working on some things, and
Perfect.
so we'll take the highway.
Oh, good. I'm marking that down. There's 2 names on that one. And I think just so everybody understands, we made a list of things that as a board that we wanted to address. And we're working on a long list that we can make public here before long. I think that was one of the first questions that was asked at one of our first meetings, you know. So that's something we're working on, making assignments so people can work on it. Since Ed and Linda had agreed in our organizational meeting to be the liaison with the highway, there's some elements to discuss with Dale and the highway department. They've agreed just now to take those on and come back to the board with those. So, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, I got another thing here, a couple of things about going over reviewing the handbook.
Yeah.
And the code of ethics.
Well, the code of ethics, I think that Linda, and I think I wrote in an email, you originally came up with some laws that you found. There were some court cases, and you brought that to the board
Mhm.
earlier last year. And I think Kathy looked at them and agreed that probably was something. I think we'd like to see those again.
Yep.
Those need to come back up because there was certainly some pushback. And I think it went all the way to the state Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
A Court of Appeals,
Court of
Kathy?
Appeals,
I think.
maybe.
Yeah. And I got that.
Yeah, the
from-
Court of Appeals is the highest court.
Okay, so I think we need to find those legal opinions
I
again,
have
bring
them.
those forward, so make sure that if we're gonna approach that again, that we have that documentation.
Yep.
Be ready for that?
Yep.
Okay. The handbook, that's part of what we have signed on to with the HR program from EBC. They're gonna start talking to us about setting up times to begin that process. We're working with them now, of course, on a time clock. The HR portion, they've reached out to us to begin that. Certainly, the book is one of those, but there's a number of other elements that I think once they talk to us that we want to be sure. I think the board needs to be involved in any handbook rewrite. So they'll rewrite it only as to how we tell them we want it to. It's not something, what they will also do, though, is make sure that whatever we do in it meets legal and standards. And that's something they do on a regular basis.
I personally would suggest that maybe everybody takes the handbook and highlights or marks up sections they think that need to be addressed, so that because we should be giving the input and
Absolutely.
and I've looked at a couple of the sections that I think are pretty weak. And
Is there anybody here that doesn't have a copy of the handbook?
did I email it to you or no?
You did, but I'm not gonna print out 20-some pages.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We can get it printed. I just want to make sure that you at least have it to look at it until we
I'll
can
get you. I'll
get copies.
Yeah, why don't you make me one too?
Okay.
And actually, everybody should get a copy of, if they don't have it, the union contract.
Yep.
Don't have that as well. Don't have anything, actually.
I think that's one other thing that might not be on our list here that we probably should add. There should be a packet that gets given to a new board member that has any, like those types of things, or is that on here?
No,
Okay.
No, it's not.
Well,
I'll try at this
well,
point.
as things come up, I think that might be a work in progress for the year, that as we find things that we can kind of keep a list together, and
Yep.
hopefully we don't have any new board members for another year, where everybody at least sticks out the year. So,
I'll get you copies.
Got another question. You sent an email out regarding the double raid seeker over on Crosby Road.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning for the objection?
Well, it's quite frankly rather to be on record. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
We're not part of that, but I think that as a matter of principle, we were copied and notified by Genesee County Economic Development, and they asked if we consented to them taking the lead. In that was a thing that said, if we don't hear from you within 30 days, means you consent. And on the one-page signature page that was in the document, there was no room to dissent. It says you can sign this and consent.
Consent, yeah.
So in talking with a few other people in the county, I thought that it was good that we as a group, since we were notified, just go on the record that we dissent for them taking the lead after we've seen what they've done already on STAM. So it's just that we're on the record to say no. It isn't going to stop them. It isn't going to change it. But again, I wanted to make sure we're there, and I think that you're probably going to hear. We'll probably be, pressed by the Senecas and others, and we can just say we dissented. That's all we can do. Anything else tonight?
Yeah. Also, that the total money we owe the village.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, the
is that for
ad
the water?
Ad valorem.
Yeah. Need to go over that.
That is, and I've sent off more information to everybody just because I've just gotten some additional information from the village. If you read in the contract, I think it's the 2001 contract. I got notes in here. I forgot.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
If you read the Medina and Shelby contract for water, it expresses that there are maybe costs associated with supply beyond water. That has been a bone of contention between apparently the village and Shelby and Ridgeway that goes back many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just sent out to you today something I got from Jada at the village that describes the opinion that they had from somebody about that charge. And if you read through the water contract and that water contract as it's written, where it says that we owe them anything that, not only for water, and again, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, I don't have this all remembered exactly word for word, that any additional costs associated that they might have to pay, we're responsible for that also. Now,
But what additional costs are they,
the additional cost that if you read through what the ad valorem is that beyond the supply of water, Niagara charges their customers operational, I would guess, O&M charges, operational maintenance charges, is my understanding.
Yeah, it's a fixed,
And that's-
non-usage-based infrastructure
Yes.
charges.
Yeah, and those are not included in the price of the water to Medina. And so therefore, Niagara has, and this has been going on for years, they've been billing the village, and the village has been paying the ad valorem for years.
they're not passing it on to the towns?
Well, they've been trying to pass it on the towns for some time, and I think there's a discussion, you know, that Ridgeway has adamantly refused, and previous administrations here at Shelby, going back many years, you know, we're talking about a contract that goes back to 2001 and earlier, has refused to pay.
Yeah, what does that consist of, though? I mean,
So that if you look at how they came up with the formula, it's based on the number of, that thing that I just sent out today, and it'd be worth your reading. I know you may not have had time. Sorry, I didn't
read
get it
it.
too early. Okay.
Mhm.
It's based on the number
property
of,
value.
yeah, and so you see that there's a weighted value. Ridgeway only has 2 connections. We have. Now,
Well, it's also based on the gross values, including exempt properties.
that's correct.
yeah.
So, you know, they're kind of tipping the bucket there to get, you know,
Mhm.
10% of 1,000 is a bigger number than 10% of 100.
Yeah.
So,
I don't, you know, I think we're going to have to address it. I did send the same information to Kathy. I know the village is now, I guess you attended the meeting. They're talking about adding interest to that. If we do owe the money, we should pay it. You have to look at the amount of money, and if we get into some kind of legal issue with them, how much is that to
Mhm.
fight it? I mean, I have my own viewpoint, but I thought the contract that we have with them is pretty clear. My own opinion.
So we're responsible for a certain,
If we want to discuss the amount of our responsibility, I think that's certainly within our purview, but I'm not certain that we can say we owe nothing. Now, which speaks to another one of the big elements in our to-do list, and that is addressing our whole overall water issue. And, you know, is that altered by the fact that, you know, even what we owe Medina on the ad valorem, the fact now that, I don't know what percentage, but some percentage of our water doesn't come from Medina.
yeah, 7 of the districts.
Mhm.
So, you know, it may be that whole formula is no longer valid either. So there's a lot of work to be done on this, on our part, to a certain, first of all, do we owe it, and how much do we owe?
So Mike, I don't remember, but I'm not even sure we all saw it. Kathy, you, I'm sure did. The water contract with Royalton. Is there an ad valorem in there, or are they
No.
just, they're eating it and not charging us?
Well, I don't know what
Passing it along.
I don't know what their agreement is with Niagara.
Niagara, yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
something we don't have, you know, in our hands.
It could be different.
Could we ask for that? I don't know. You know, would they should?
Well, I'm just curious if their agreement with us says they're gonna pass that along. If
I-
it doesn't, then I don't care what their agreement with.
I'd have to pull that agreement back out. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing that, but you're right. We should take a look at it again, Kathy.
Well, this is obviously a hot topic and has been with me. obviously, for several years. And, you know, we've spent a lot of money. We paid a lot of different firms. I seen a bill for $5,200 from Single Source that we just paid. I asked Margaret what that consisted of, and she said it was to determine revenue division or something. I asked her for some findings. What are we getting for that 5,200? She didn't offer anything. I know we had paid Kathy to dive into this to some extent. Again, what are the findings? What are we actually diving into? What are we finding? Because at the end of the day, some of these districts' revenue is going to be, is going to begin to be overstated by quite a bit.
Yeah.
The longer we wait. And I live in the town. I buy the town's water. I can't help that I'm in a specific district, but there are things that we can do ahead of this committee with the information we've already gotten. Fire flow studies, pressure studies. We know how much we're paying Heartland for water. We know how much we're paying the village. We know which districts are getting their water from where, from what John put together. We've got to make this thing make sense. We've been getting Heartland water for over a year. So the statement that, the engineer needs a more consistent period of time to determine this blended rate, how much is, how long is enough? I mean, it's been over a year.
It has not been over a year. It's been less than a year that it's been stable. We changed it all back because of the fire last fall.
East of 63, yeah.
And not all of that information is exact, and that's been part of the problem. And I got to say that Margaret, in her defense, has worked very hard on this to try to.
I'm sure she has, but again, what are the results?
The results are.
I'm sorry, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought when it was just turn the valve, right? When everybody made it sound so easy that we were just going to turn a valve and everything was going to be perfect, that there was like a dead end to it, right? Like, the Royalton water came and there was a stop, and the Medina water, apparently that's not the case. The waters push against each other, right? So whichever side happens to have more pressure.
Yeah.
So the Royalton water just doesn't stop at a certain point.
That's not the case in all the districts. I mean, in District 1, they totally removed the valve on Blair Road.
Right.
Well, and they shut the valve off on West Ave Extension.
Down in Medina.
Shut it off. So that is purely 100% Royalton water. In one
That might be, but I'm just saying that it's not that.
My point being, at what point are we going to be held accountable for the fact that we're collecting 2 to 3 times the amount of money
I think
than we're paying for this water? It's ridiculous. And I'm talking with Dale in the last meeting. We've got 30 plus 40 people that are behind on their water that can't pay their bill. Are they in fact maybe getting the water from Royalton and being overbilled?
Yeah.
There are a lot.
Larry, you probably know much about this as anybody at this
I know
table.
a lot about this. I've got tons
and maybe
of
you
data.
know more than then honestly, I'm happy to turn it over to you and say,
I mean, it's
help us
just
figure it out, because honestly, it's a very complicated.
There's issues beyond just what you see on the paper. The state has very strict regulations, and I'm sure that we're in violation of many of them. So just hear me out. Making any arbitrary decision about blended rates without real data and real stuff behind you, I think just puts you further in trouble. Now, my feeling very strongly is I'd like to get, and we did know that there are we have references for 2 outfits that do nothing but this kind of work for rural water districts. They're not an engineering firm. They don't come and tell you what valves to turn on or anything else. They would work with us and they would make recommendations about simple things like, can you do just a single water district? Can you do, because some of this problems is
and come up with a rate.
And come up with a rate.
Mm-hmm.
For the blended districts.
For the blended, can we do that? There's a lot more to this than what just paying your $25. I don't mean to be any way.
I didn't mention that at all.
Well, at every meeting over the last couple of years. But my point is, it's looking at it's extremely complicated.
And it's even worse now because it's over and above. it's a little salt in the wound at this point because
Well-
we're aware.
Well,
So are
of these
we.
things,
and I'm not, wasn't being
and we're
funny.
not,
I'm
you
not
know,
trying to be funny.
there's
You
no
give
reason
knowledge.
that these, I can't help it that,
Okay.
District 10 is beyond
So
the
do you
limits
want-
of being
I'm looking-
supplied
okay.
by Royalton.
I'm looking for suggestions
Yeah.
of how
And
to.
why
address
should
it.
they be penalized with a
How do we
blended
address
rate
it? I understand your
when they
point.
can't get benefit of lower cost water?
I'm gonna challenge the board here on something. Saying there's a problem is one thing. Offering a solution is another. And I'm all up for a solution
Yeah.
from anybody. If somebody wants to take this on as a project, I'm willing to turn it over. I don't need to be, I'm just the supervisor in here and I'm not boss of anybody, this board or anybody that works here. I'm not boss of the superintendent or the clerk. The door is always open. If anybody wants to come in here and work on this stuff, fine, and bring it to the board. I'm okay with that. I don't have any ego about this. I don't know enough about it to make the changes.
I don't have a key.
I think,
No.
I think overall, the
That's a
idea,
nice try.
There you
I'll do
go.
what I can.
There you
And
go.
it'll cost me, there you go.
Can use mine.
Come on.
All I'm saying is we have spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Where is it? What are the results?
Then-
Other
So
than
the results are,
there are no leaks, and we determined that in the course of a day and a half.
I'm gonna say it again, take it on.
There's no doubt we were handed a mess. It wasn't as easy as
Yeah.
turn a water valve. Maybe it was for the actual water itself.
Yeah.
Nobody gave one thought about what it was going to mean for the accounting and the pricing of it. And unfortunately, the people that are sitting here, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. He and I have already admitted to, I don't know about these two, that we don't understand enough about it, so we need to hire somebody else. If somebody else here understands more about it, have at it. Let's hear what you think, because I'm all open to hearing.
Gotta be
some of
solved.
these.
Well, I'm
I
trying to
don't
tell you
know.
what I'm thinking.
Other than
but
hiring
I'm not trying
somebody.
to own it 100%.
Well, somebody
This
has to.
board,
well,
it's on this board.
Correct.
To address
Yeah.
this.
That's why we
This is
want
our
Well,
job.
that's why
yeah,
we're
I
talking
We're
about
trying to
another,
put
Yeah.
this
a
Get
financial
somebody,
firm.
committee together, which is great, but
get somebody in here.
how long is that going to draw this process?
So let me just, I'm sorry, John, let me just say one more thing, because I know you wanted to say something. So with Margaret, what she's working on is financially to make sure that the water we're purchasing, we are allocating the cost out to the different districts. The reason we're allocating and not just letting the Royalton people pay Royalton rate and Medina people pay Medina rate is because all the districts paid for the vault. So once everybody in the whole community paid for the vault, you have to give them the benefit of the rate. If you're not going to give them the benefit of the rate, you got to refund their money, and you got to
And
put all
charge
the
it-
cost of
charge
that
it to them.
$100,000 of vault back on the districts that are
Yeah, they're
benefiting from
getting the
that
money.
water. So we have to do one or the other.
Yeah, that wasn't $100,000.
Whatever
We
it
don't know.
was, I don't know the
There's no
exact.
tracking on
Yeah.
the cost.
The vault was at least 50,000, right?
Yeah.
there was
And then the labor, and then we paid the
Wait, wait.
engineering
Hold on.
firm.
Engineering.
And no tracking.
Who knew where the money went?
And no track, I can't tell you how much it is. We budgeted 150,000.
Well, at some point in this, there's going to be another me on the other side of that
You bet.
Yeah.
podium.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And, I don't want to have to sit there and be
Larry,
I agree with you.
accused of
Larry,
raping the public
Larry,
over these rates.
It was
What do you
not
think we were trying to do
it's
for
number
2
one on the
years?
to-do list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there, first thing,
And-
water.
And I agree with you, but again, the board we've looked into it a little bit. I don't have the expertise to address this.
Well, we need to get
You know,
somebody
and
in
what-
here, yeah.
So we're trying to, with Margaret, to allocate those expenses appropriately. Now, you do it by water connection, you try to figure out water usage. That changes depending on the time of year. Those usages vary, and they can vary quite a bit.
Mm-hmm,
You get some farmers that are using some more water at a certain time,
mm-hmm.
that varies. And given that we changed all of the escarpment back to Medina water in October or November, I don't know the exact date, now you've got how much data do you have? How many billing cycles do you need to have to see that? So Margaret's doing the best she can to try to allocate that so that we're not overburdening a particular district with, the wrong amount of Royalton versus Medina, but that has fluctuated over time. It's got to be a better way to do it, and she spent way more time than she should have had to, but she's trying to make sure we're already seeing some of the districts not to put pond underwater, they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what she's also wrestling with. There are mistakes that she's brought up that go back to 2023 that flow into 2024 that still haven't, been fully reconciled. That's how complicated it is. In the meantime, over the same period of time, our accounting systems have changed 3 times.
Mhm.
3 times. So the current accounting system, payroll and everything else that she's dealing with, only covers 2025. Before that, it was Williamson Law. We heard how much people bitched about Williamson Law. We can't get a lot of data from Williamson Law. Now, we still use it for water, but I can tell you that the information doesn't transfer over to the current accounting system. So Margaret's doing the best she can, working with Beth to try to get the billing, take the usages and the amounts that are being billed, and trying to formulate, okay, this is what each water district is going to get, in terms of going to the bottom line. Now, it was one of the reasons during the budget process that I asked for engineering and attorney fees in each of the water districts, because we shouldn't be taking money out of the general accounting to pay for this. And that's what's been happening. Now, the other thing we've done too is worked with
MRB.
and we worked with Highway to
Oh.
begin accounting for how much time are you spending on water, because
yeah.
that always hasn't been done. Sometimes it all came out of general.
One district,
Yeah,
one district.
yeah, one,
which you can't do.
the district's got the money.
Every water district has to sustain itself.
Yeah,
So before the rest of the board, when Jim first got on, we brought in MRB Consulting, which you were probably at the meeting where they came up and talked about what it would be. They've suggested 2 financial firms that could come in for us to look at, that would come in and help us try to straighten this out. We as a board have to decide if we want to do that, interview them, hire one. It's going to cost us a little bit of money, but hire them and at least get started on trying to do exactly what you're saying.
And the only
That's a
reason
decision the board has to
And the
make.
only reason I suggested a citizen committee is because a lot of that work, and I'm not trying to be a big pain about this, happens during the day. I mean, a lot of the work is going to happen when you've got access either to the water clerk. You're not going to get them to come in at night, those kinds of things. The consultants, and I'll tell you how much I do during the day. A lot of the stuff you can't get a hold of anybody after a certain time. We all are very busy, not just me, but you're all very busy. And I was hoping that if we set up somebody that we could trust, board members being ad hoc members, to be a part of any meeting, so that there's not more than 2, so it can function.
So,
Then,
so they're not immediately overwhelmed, and again, to drive my point home, we form this citizens committee, and we hand them what?
we hand them the ability to start analyzing and to talk to those firms and start working with them to get the information that they need, and then coming to the board. Go ahead.
I would suggest that the board interview the firms,
Sure.
pick one that hear what they're going to do for us, pick one, and then I guess that would start. But
Yeah, but we have to understand what it is we're
That's what
looking
they-
for.
that's what they're
they're
gonna
gonna do.
no.
Yeah, they're gonna
What
do
we're
that.
looking for is to understand our water system that
Yeah.
I think that
got all screwed up with.
we can
Past.
tell them, it's very simple. We have a mess. This is the issue. We got 2 sources of water. We don't have a blended rate. One's half price of the other.
13 districts.
13 districts, everybody paid for a
Yeah.
vault, but not everybody
We
gets
got-
that water. I mean, there's a lot of, and then
Got
they're
too
gonna
much
take
money
it
in
all.
water.
So
Yeah.
is the thought that, some of these have bonds out to 2055,
That's the other
you know,
issue.
combining them, am I now going to be paying the share of a
No.
bond?
No, you
No,
can't.
you
No,
can't.
right?
No, that's
No, you
illegal.
can't. Legally, you
Illegal.
It's
can't
not
do
legal,
that.
you can't do that.
Can't do it.
No.
Each district is responsible
For their own
itself.
bond.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that impedes doing any kind of mace of, a water district, is because the districts all have different debt,
Yeah.
and you
But
can't.
we have to first start digging into it, and that's what these firms do, like, for a living.
They should
We
be able
need
to
them
give
to-
us a direction.
Yes.
That's
And
what
I
we
think
need,
you make a
bottom
good
line.
point. Then let's contact them. I'd be happy to contact them.
And get them to a meeting
Get them
and
to a meeting and make a presentation to the
let's
board
hear what they say.
before we even, because unfortunately, I keep trying to find a way around doing a local law. and Kathy can speak to this. I sent her another thing today. She
Well,
tells me
for,
it will work.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
To try to,
public,
because that's a
yeah.
process. It'll be months before we can probably get
Yeah.
local law, allow us to do it, structure the local law,
Yeah.
structure the committee to get it to work. And then, how long would it take, to your point? I have to agree with you 100%, Larry. I think that your suggestion, let's get the two firms in here. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to call them, have them come. When can you come and make a presentation? I can certainly outline what our problem is, let them speak to it, and what they would do to resolve our
And,
problems.
and they may or may not say the committee is good, or no, that's a waste of your time and money.
Yeah,
We're gonna do,
they'll
let's hear,
know how to
let's,
do it,
let's hear
for
what their
sure.
suggestion is first, and
Yeah.
start
That's
moving
something we
on,
could do very
something.
quickly, and then the
Maybe they
board
can
could
come
make a
October
decision
10th.
about whether we want to,
or maybe they can come February 10th.
I'll ask them. I haven't contacted them yet until we
That
started
would
this
be good.
discussion.
Listen to see what they got to say.
Presentation doesn't cost us anything.
I'm fine with that, but we still have a specific amount of data there, we tend to, this thing has gotten so overcomplicated because everybody's got a different way of looking at it and what they believe the, ultimate outcome should be. We get bills from Roy Hart, 2.56 million gallons at however, much the rate is, and we get bills from the town, and they treat our districts, differently. 1, 3, and 7 are actually District 401 with the village, and then we have to have somebody brilliant enough to understand that, this is actually referring to, 2, 3, and 5. So are you telling me that single source is undoing improper ledger entries to straighten out the water billing and collection to the proper accounts? I just want to know what they did for that money.
Well, I think roughly that's it. She's trying to determine, where the costs go, because we have to pay those bills and distribute them over those areas.
They're getting it.
I mean, she's trying very rudimentary, trying to not so
How
much.
could she do that with no guidance from Dale or the water clerk?
She does have some guidance. So what we talked about with her was that we're buying X number of gallons from Royalton and X number of gallons. Well, first of all, for, I don't know, the first 6 or 8 months, what was being done before when the previous board was here, what was being done before was all the water that was being purchased from Medina was being charged to the Medina, the districts it was going to. And with the Royalton water, they were getting just what the water cost from Royalton was. Okay. But you can't really do that because these people helped pay for the vault that water came in from, they have to get some of the break too.
They paid legal and
they paid
engineering.
legal, they paid engineering, they paid the vault, they paid. So you can't have them pay the expense but not get the benefit of the revenue, the reduced rate. So now what they're trying to do is saying, okay, well, first of all, let me step back one. Kathy, you were, I think, going to check to find out from the state whether we can legally blend the rate and give everybody the rate, even though they're not all getting the water.
Yep, and nobody from the comptroller's office seems to have any interest in calling me back about that question.
Okay, so we'll move forward. Because I called the state auditor and asked, and she said, that's a legal question, you'd have to call the state legal. So that's what Kathy's been, that's why Kathy's involved. So what Margaret came in and did is says, okay, we're gonna add all the water together, the cost of all the water together, and we're gonna say, okay, based on the last year's numbers, we're gonna allocate the cost of the water to the districts based on the usage that district averaged for the year. It's the best thing we could come up with that seemed fair.
Formula.
Right. So that's what she's doing.
Not overthinking it.
Correct.
My concern is the board is okay with, there won't be any arrears adjustment.
It's very difficult.
There will
You mean going back?
Yeah.
There will have to be an arrears
There'll have to be
adjustment.
when they
We're
figure out
gonna
a
have to figure
formula.
out what the right thing
Yeah.
is, and we're gonna have to try to go back and count. Are we gonna
Yeah.
get it to the penny? Absolutely not.
No.
How far we can go back? But we're gonna have to take the money that's there and say, this has not been done right over the years. We're gonna have to find out from the state we have to make a line in the sand and say, we're just gonna go forward, but now we're gonna correct this with this allocation and we're gonna then move forward.
I think at this point, I like her idea. Forget, it's gonna take so long to get, I like the citizens committee thing, advisory thing, just about, but it's gonna take.
Take forever, yeah.
And I think that I'll call them.
Let's find what the experts say first.
Yeah.
I'll call
And
them
they
tomorrow
might-
and see if I can get them to the first meeting we can get them to and just
Yeah.
have them make a presentation.
Where Kathy's been trying to get hold of somebody in the controller's office, they may say, oh, this is the one you gotta call here. I mean, not,
Yeah.
you know, they may know, they say, okay, this is who you gotta call to talk about that. Here you go here.
But they're not calling her back, that's
They're
the
not
No,
problem.
no, no.
Oh.
The new
I
company.
mean,
Oh, the new
I
company.
keep trying.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying that, Kathy. I'm saying
She's
the
saying
new
the
company.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Consultant.
Company
Yeah.
can point us in the
Oh,
direction.
okay, okay,
That's
gotcha.
what we need. We need
They'll
guidance from
they'll have
somebody.
contacts.
Right, that's it, exactly. We need
Yeah.
Yeah,
guidance from somebody.
Right. I absolutely think you guys need to hire somebody. I mean, this is, the 13 water districts, it is incredibly complicated. And I don't think there's any way for anybody to unpack it who doesn't have a lot of experience and expertise in dealing with water districts and these types of issues. So I think that this is probably the best money that you can spend as a board to get this straightened out for all of the residents of the town, so that way people are paying what they should be paying.
Getting back to the water districts, I think, didn't we go to one of the meetings in Royalton, and they used to have separate districts, and they combined them all. I think it was Royalton.
Could it be? And
I
I
think-
think
I
that.
Yeah, I know I went there. I can't.
I remember
I think it was.
the water guy said something about it once, that they used to have a whole bunch of districts like we got, and they got somebody in there to figure out how to combine them all.
And they paid somebody to come in.
Yeah,
and do it.
there is a way to do that, but with
Yeah.
all the various debt, right? With
Well,
all of the
yeah.
debt and all of the districts, that's
Yeah.
really what complicates it.
Yeah.
So again, this firm might come in and they might be like, well, yeah, we can figure out all the debt and we can consolidate, make one district, and then figure out, how to distribute the debt to make sure that, to Larry's point, that Larry isn't picking up the payments on somebody else's bond,
No.
right?
Right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So if agreement, I will start making some calls at the two contacts and see if we can, as soon as I can get them in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much to just explain briefly, without a lot of detail, what our problem
Right.
is.
Right.
And, if they wanted to, they could talk to Margaret too about what she's done and faces even before they came. I'm sure Margaret would be happy to talk to them about what she's found to date. That might make the presentation to us a little bit more
Right.
valid. But let me give them a call. I'm very happy to do it. Because you're right, Larry, we're spending all this money on accounting that's out of scope. Attorney fees.
Mm-hmm.
How much would we have to spend on a consultant? How much would it save us to
Yeah.
get this thing going? I was really hoping we could set up an advisory, but it looks like that's going to take months before we could have that even activated.
Well, they may be able to tell us, is that gonna help?
If it's worth doing it, yeah.
Yeah, is that gonna help
Yeah.
what they're doing?
Well,
Right now, as a board, we're jousting at windmills.
And honestly, the
I
other
agree.
thing too is, it's not that we didn't think about it when Jim came on and but the budget was,
Number one.
yeah, it just took a lot of time and it was
Yeah.
a lot to try to unpack that and get that
then
whittled down to what we could.
we ran into the pressure issues and we wanted to get that resolved.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have to say that MRB came in here, and when we did meet with them, we did address the pressure issues with them. We looked at that. That's why we had additional testing. But they said, you don't need engineering help at this point.
You need financial help.
Before you ever talk to engineering about trying to put a pump in,
Mhm.
anything about extending your water districts, find out financially where you are, because you need some help.
So in the meantime, is the highway department trying to move any of these other districts to Royalton?
No,
No, they can't.
Well, they've been told no.
No.
we had them all switched off the escarpment.
No, but
No, I can tell you that they are not. I check on it. It's done. And they know that we're not making any other changes. So it was made, it was done in the fall, unless,
so how accurate is this?
I don't know. That particular page, I don't know. You know, really honest, I don't know what, I think John and Margaret, but I don't know about, when that was done relative to that. But again, I know that even since we've made those changes, for one thing, water billing is only every quarter.
Quarter.
So you don't get month by month, you don't get real-time data. And so you get seasonal changes. The farms, well, just for instance, this summer,
Summer they use a lot more, yeah.
well, certain districts, I know Roberts used a heck of a lot more over there on their orchards this last year because of the drought.
Right, yeah.
So that significantly changed some of the flow data that we had.
Yeah, there's provisions in that water agreement that state that cannot be used for irrigation without express consent. So that's another issue.
Yeah, I did see that. I think it was mainly for if the pressure goes down so far, and they're going to have to be shut down from using it because the pressure ain't going to be enough.
Yeah, and we've got some farms that use more water than any, but they don't use bulk, and they just it goes on the regular meter. So so it becomes even harder to. I'm going to get them in here. If the board's in agreement, let me call them. Okay. And let's see if we can arrange them to come in and talk to us. And I think then we can determine, Larry, at that point, you ask them any questions that you got and see what they can come up with. Because I don't have enough answers for you. I'm sorry.
I wasn't asking for answers.
I know.
For anybody's.
I just don't have solutions either.
I was just asking for findings on what we've paid for.
Yeah.
To date.
Well, we've paid a struggle trying to find a solution without having to, immediate as soon as we could, make some adjustments. Yeah.
If they cannot come in on the 10th, just know that Ed is out for the next week and a half, like next week. So don't schedule it earlier than if they can't do the 10th, then has to go out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't going to try to schedule it early. It's going to.
No, just
well,
at the regular board meeting would be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they can't make that and you were going to do something different,
I'll bring it to you. You'll.
Okay. It just can't be.
You guys are copied on everything.
If they can't get here, then we could do another workshop.
Yeah.
It depends on when.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. It has to be resolved. Again, that's why it was the number one thing on our list. We recognized it last year that this was going to be an issue.
So getting back to this ad valorem, what's required here to determine our liability? Is it just going to be? I mean, is this something we got to vote on? Is this?
I would believe it. Kathy, you can correct me, but I would think it's going to be what the contract says.
Yeah, I remember I took a bunch of notes on it before that meeting that we had with the village, but I haven't had a chance to review what Jim sent yet from the village. So I would need to pull out my notes, go back and look at my notes, and then look at what Jim sent, and then I can, provide an opinion on that. I remember thinking that it was at least questionable in my mind as to whether it was something that you guys needed to pay. Based on the way that it was, being assessed to the village. It just didn't seem to make sense that it would then be passed on to the town. But Jim, if you got something new, I'll go in and take a look at that and pull out my notes and give you my thought.
Yeah, there's an opinion that I got from Jada that I shared with you too. I asked her for and I sent that. We had it before.
I don't know why I think that in one of several of the water contracts with the village over the last 50 years that I saw in there that there was an ad valorem.
You see, I know you mentioned that. I didn't see it in the ones I have.
Okay, I'll have to go back on
that.
Maybe I just.
Those things. There's so many of them.
There's
several.
Yes.
There's an email that talks about it. There's a section down at the bottom there. It's dated quite a while back, stating that in lieu of collecting for the ad valorem,
they would take
care. Maintain the property at the tank.
Yeah.
I have that. It's right.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Because they paid.
But I also had.
They did pay.
Co-pilot do a summary of that, and it points out pretty clearly that it's ambiguous because rates were not set at the time, and it is just recently revisited, and it almost feels like a sting back for, shutting valves off and no longer, getting
I think
the
that
money from the town
in
for
the
that.
I don't
discussion
think
I
so.
had with Jada, this discussion has been going on for years.
A long time. Yeah.
They have billed, actually, this isn't just a recent thing. This goes back years, Larry. They have billed the town of Shelby and the town of Ridgeway for years on this thing, and it has been turned down for years. This goes back to, several supervisors, not just the last one.
Yeah,
So I don't think it's a payback or a get you. I think that as the village looks at, well, for example, it was used when I talked to Jada today. We were supposed to pay the electric on
The
the
pumps.
pumps, and it took them years to be able to collect it from us. They
Yeah.
didn't bill us for a while, then it took a fight for them to collect it.
Mhm.
So there's been issues more than the ad valorem in terms of who pays what and when. And I know that if there's some mention about a trade-off, I'd like to see that, Larry, if you got something. I think that probably the attorney should see it too, if you've got something that about
Yeah.
a trade-off for the tank versus, I just don't have every water contract. They were re-upped every time there was a new district put in, they were re-upped. Now, the subsequent contracts were pretty sparse. They just said all of the terms and conditions of the previous contract roll over into this one, and we had a new water district, and the same things applied to it that applied to the other contracts, the other districts.
says the agreement did not clearly allocate all upstream costs, particularly Niagara County Water District ad valorem charges, parentheses, fixed non-usage-based infrastructure charges.
Right.
Later studies and legal opinions concluded that Shelby was contractually obligated to share in these costs, even though the 2001 agreement did not spell out precise percentages.
Right.
So I liken this to a paid-off bond, and we're going to move that to an operations and maintenance.
Just like they did
And
district.
held separate in a reserve account,
Yeah.
but never actually state a dollar value or a percentage.
See,
And
there's
later on,
and I wasn't trying to be a smart ass about
Right.
the 25.
that's what I'm saying.
You
You
know.
wonder where,
Yeah.
who came up with the number? Where did it come from? Where is that?
And it
Where
was
is
at the time in my research, they actually did allocate or sequester that money, that $25 per month in an account to keep track of it, to use it for. And then some decision was made several years ago by someone, I can't find out who, to just throw that into the general water
Yep.
fund.
Yeah.
So that $25 just disappeared. At one point, supposedly, and again, we can't go back because our accounting systems have changed over time, and see where that was, that it was, and where was it, allotted or accounted for separately.
I mean, that's $25 is what they were paying for this, to pay the bond. Yeah. And he just changed it, arbitrarily changed it to a service and maintenance fee after it was paid off.
Which again is not necessary if you're charging the appropriate amount per thousand.
Over
Oh,
the,
sure.
what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're paying like $240 a thousand
Yeah, it should be.
over the price we're paying.
Yeah, there's no reason to add that.
Upcharge.
That's part of,
Where-
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I can't say.
Okay, I'll take that. I'm just curious. Can I make a copy of
You
this?
sure can.
Um,
Oh, yeah, I think I got that too.
Where'd you get that?
We got it quite a few years ago. Yeah.
You're not telling either.
Board gave it to me
Yep.
before I was on the board.
All right. Well, anything like that, we should, if we can source it and share that with and not to divulge confidential sources, but anything we can do to give to the attorney, something like that without some kind of, where did it come from? Where, rather than just somebody writing it up. It's like the legal opinion I sent out. It really would help, I think, us make, and help her make a determination and a recommendation to the board about our.
Well, it kind of does go back to some of the stuff that's in here about needing SOPs. Part of the problem is nothing is written down. Nobody knows why something was done, because that's what we've always done, and so it just kind of carries forward with no logic. And
And I'm
You
gonna,
can't get it explained.
I'm gonna even, today talking, we've got somebody that's going out on medical leave. And so how much vacation time do they have? Well, it hasn't, the problem is our current payroll is so much per union contract, so much is earned every month. Well, we only have data back till, in the current payroll, to last January. So if it's accumulated past that,
But I think there's a carryover amount, right?
yeah, there is, but where do you find it?
No, I'm saying, isn't there a limit as to the carryover?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
But how do you know how much somebody really has, because it's not in the payroll, whatever's in the pay, but you can't go back and add it up,
Well, let me ask, so in the previous payroll system last year, say January of 25, if they worked, it's a 2-week pay period. So if they worked 80 hours,
If they
doesn't
took
it
any.
say on their pay stub that 72 hours was work and 8 hours was vacation?
No, they never had that on there.
That's all that's gonna.
So Dale should have written records then.
I've asked him for that,
Okay.
just today.
You're not gonna get
Fair
them.
enough.
Okay, and here's the problem, in order to recreate it, you have to go back through Williamson, because that was for some period of time. And then we do have written records for all this period of time in the vault. So if you really wanted to verify it, somebody could set in here and go in through the vault and go through all, because you have to keep payroll indefinitely.
So there'd
Yeah.
be physical hard copy records,
Somebody would
assuming that somebody
through
wrote
every-
down that they weren't here the day that,
That you would have to go through every.
okay, 2 days vacation.
That was one of those conversations today, so, that's been a lot of the problem.
Which
There's been continuity of record keeping, either hard copy, and I don't like to make excuses, but it's just been a disaster, and I wasn't trying to be a smart aleck. You want to come in and find it? I get asked every day to go find something. I can't find it,
But going forward, the new time clock is taking care of that.
That is what we're trying to set it up,
Yeah.
and you were on the call, all those elements are in it. And I did, as I sent the email, I think, out to everybody, I did have a conversation with the union steward about the new clock, about what the union contract states.
And they're gonna follow the regulations of,
That
you have
is
to put in a time off request before they go out. It'll get approved, it'll show
It'll
up.
start
on
out
the
slow, but
payroll.
gradually, we're gonna be adding all of those elements to it. Don't wanna add too much at first, I wanna start out with a walk, make sure it's functioning correctly, and we can just keep adding things as we need them to the.
Time
so
off
that
is
it's-
important, though,
Yeah.
So is this, I mean, I could take a look at it, but is it facial recognition? Is it
Yes.
thumb? Is it what is
Can
it?
be anything.
Yeah.
We've had enough issues with the fobs. We've had enough issues with remote access in terms of clock in, not just the fact that we'd like to see it differently, but there have been complaints. Our status on this is that I want to start out with one thing, facial recognition. If it's not working correct, we can address it, but you know yourself when you're troubleshooting, if you're having problems with something and there's 4 ways to sign into it, which one is it?
Yeah.
So we start out slow. Per the union contract, they have to be in their place of work. They have to use the time clock that's in the union contract, and they have to punch in and punch out
At the clock
at the clock.
versus on a.
Now, the other element that goes in there is because there have been repeated complaints over time that it doesn't pick up the right time or something else goes wrong. I'm just expressing to you what has been. The new clock and the new software and the app will give you a real time. So you can punch in and you can look on your app, did it get my time? Okay, you don't have to wait a week, you don't have to wait days to check to see whether it did and then go back and try to recreate your timesheet. It's there. So there's a number of things I'm hoping that we can start to, as she said, put standard operating procedures in place, get things so that they operate a certain way and that everybody has to follow them. And you're not spending time trying to rectify a written time sheet with a time clock and spending a lot of time trying to get the two and which one's right and
jive.
which one's wrong.
And the SOPs will be kept electronically so that we don't have to worry about finding hard copies in a drawer somewhere, or they may accidentally get thrown out. So.
Yeah.
Or shredded.
Yeah, I think that, for me, one of the biggest goals we can do is not only resolve some problems, but, I mean, nobody sits on the board forever. No supervisor's been here very long, over the last how many years. Elected offices change. If we can get standard operating procedures in here, resolve some of these things, make sure everything's in writing and documented, so that no matter who walks in and sits in that seat, they can pick up without having to do what I'm doing, what John Massidi went through, what you guys are going through with us. It's, I mean, Larry showing these guys. I write down what I do every day. This is today.
I can believe it.
Each of these is something different. They're not all a 5-minute job. Some are. This is just today's. This is before our meeting. I don't want somebody else to have to go through this. I don't try to be a smart aleck. I say, come on in and look. Things. And things you think you got taken care of. I'm just dealing with now. I thought we were all set on insurance payments. Last week it came in. I didn't see it unfortunately, until Tuesday. Cancellation notice for some insurance again. And then apparently who's in charge of it are, people like Miranda or Cassandra. They're not here. Those emails never got changed, so the notifications don't get made. They don't get paid, and so then I have to go find who's the contact, who can help me get into the website. How do we set it up, electronic payments instead of, because spending time printing checks for everybody is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully we've somewhat corrected that we've set up an accounting email or something to that effect, accounting at Town of Shelby, or there's some, those positions should not have their own personal emails.
That's right.
It should be
Yeah, it should
an
be
email
like
that
the
stays the
AP,
same no matter who, so that
AR,
history all stays there.
And that's why mine is supervisor. I don't care who sits in that chair. It's supervisor. Here's the sign-in. There's nothing secret. Have at it.
You just mentioned something about insurance. How do I get loss run reports to give to another company to quote insurance?
I can give you the name of the agent.
Okay.
I would think that
Yep.
Kathleen would get it for you.
Yep.
They've sold that. That's part of the issue. And sold that insurance arm. Now they get everything. They've turned all their insurance over to NYMAR.
Yep.
Which my understanding is very competitive for municipalities.
Yep. But it doesn't hurt to.
No, when you said that that you were going to contact Lolly, I've dealt with them in the past. Great.
Yep. And they know we use NYMAR, and there's still thinks he can be competitive. So I said, well,
Perfect.
It doesn't hurt to get a quote.
We can save some money. And that's the thing. We've got so many insurances that have, independent health, Highmark, Aflac, all these, state retirement, and then union dues, and then everything else. And then at the same time, I've got about 3 or 4 things on my desk where the state or the feds or it's USDA, they all want reports about last year's activities, whether it's employment, retirement, it's just on and on. And it's all, you have to go online and do it. And so hopefully we can record all this stuff. I don't mean to sit here all night and night. I think that, if we can get the systems in place, that's certainly will help whoever's next. So I think at this point, anybody else got anything else before we fire certainly open?
No.
Just 2 things real quick.
Yep.
Did you happen to run across that assessor's?
No, I can ask you
Summary.
for it. I can go to county for it.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to clarify, my questioning when I was looking through the bills, there were some questions about eligibility for town insurance, and Linda helped with some clarification in the handbook,
Mhm.
and it appears maybe at one point in time, let's just say 20 years ago, elected officials had the opportunity to
Mhm.
participate, whether it be by percentage or 100% or what have you. And then at some point in time, well, we know exactly when that happened, it was cut off. And if you got in under the wire,
Mhm.
you know, you qualify even though you're an elected official. However, it does require you to pay a certain percentage of it, 15%, I believe it is.
15%.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Is there any way to verify that that is actually happening?
I did, months ago. I had a copy of a payroll register, which honestly I think that we should get either the time cards or the payroll registers to review it for like overtime to watch where we are with the budget. So it's a
Certainly,
good thing to have.
Payroll registers you can have. I think
Yep.
they get printed out every payroll. I
Yep.
mean, that's not a
But
problem.
on there, I saw the deductions.
So,
But I think that's another thing in the handbook that we need to look
Yeah.
at, the contributions to that. Because,
well, I'm trying to be cautious here in how I word this. Due to the status, it's not an employee, you know, an MEO or whatever, it's an
Right.
elected official. Beyond their term, then that terminates. Is that correct?
it did not be that way. We have, as you saw on the Highmark bill, there are several employees that some have 100% of their health insurance paid for life. Some have themselves and a spouse.
It's elected official?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know about elected, but it would
Yeah, I
be,
know the MEOs and,
is it just the MEOs that were on?
One elected that was maybe
well,
an employee prior.
yeah, he was
Oh,
an
maybe that's
employee.
it, okay.
Yeah, and then,
I don't think elected officials are on there.
Okay, so it might
I don't-
just, it might
If they were
just be.
employees before that, but it's something to look at.
yeah,
Okay, so maybe it is. The Highmark bill though is people that are getting paid,
yeah,
that we're continuing to pay for after they're gone, but that might be just MEOs.
them are MEOs,
Just,
yeah.
okay, I guess I got
Yeah,
confused.
which is fine.
And that's
I
per,
just,
and that's
was
per,
just-
and that's per union contract.
Mhm.
What percentages they pay after how many years.
So I believe there was another clause that did state, although prohibited, you could participate, but you have to pay 15%. So,
But then after their term's up, then what happens after that?
Then there's nothing, I guess, right, if your term is up?
Yeah, if your term is up,
yeah, I mean,
you shouldn't have to pay.
during the course of your term.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, I'm paying $12,000 a week for insurance.
15,000 a year.
Yeah, it's just over the top, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's probably one of those things that just kind of keeps getting overlooked, but that's why reviewing the handbook.
Yeah.
Kind of, and.
Okay, so copies of this,
Mhm.
copies of the handbook and the union.
Yep.
Is
My
that,
notes.
is that happening tonight or some other day, or what do we do?
I can send them to you, or do you want hard copies?
You could just send them to me.
Okay, that's easy. I've got them all in,
Electronically, he's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
or, I can get them set up, in terms of cards to get in here, that's, it's another one of those things like this that I'm gonna have to get either schooled on it. Darlene isn't due to come back until February 4th now.
Mm.
I just got, I don't know how many bills from Convergent. Every time they gotta come out of Buffalo. It's 169, 170, and trying to schedule them to have somebody come in and make a tag. I tried one with Bill, didn't work out too good. It said that there was a duplicate or something, and I don't know. I have to get into the system and figure out it was because he was employed before, they never properly took him, I don't know.
Can they talk us through it over the
Now,
phone?
there's a pretty good written thing, but it's not an easy program.
Okay.
It's pretty cumbersome.
Yeah.
For what it is. In the meantime, Ed, did you get your notification at 3 a.m.?
That was at 3, it was at noon, wasn't it?
Well, there was that also as follow-up at noon.
Yeah, I don't even remember, I was probably sleeping pretty good.
So anyways,
I didn't get to 3 a.m., I don't think I even got it.
Our security system is on its last legs now. We have a software update that we paid for, but it requires a new PC. It keeps dropping communication. It's supposed to reestablish. It doesn't. Nobody's breaking in. But we had a power failure, so we had to bring them out for the cameras. We had to bring them out for the security system. Brought them out. I had 4 bills from Convergent for $169 to $207. Send a service tech out of Buffalo.
8:07 a.m. this morning.
I got mine at 3. I don't know why. I guess you're second on the list. Maybe they're getting.
I didn't get nothing
you.
overnight. They let me sleep.
I will scan this to Peter.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else before we let everybody go home? Have a motion to
So
end the
moved.
meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Hi, Kathy.
Bye, Kathy. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
I've got copies of that hard copies. I'll give you one hard copy. Handbook.
Okay.
It's interesting. What it is. I'll show you what she wants to go. Run it all in.
Yeah, she's not feeling well.
It protects